people think that your vote or your voice doesn't matter, and that's not true. Because it does. And if you don't say anything, then you'll never be heard. For me, it's all about choice, right? I want choice for myself, for my body, my mind, and my children. I don't want to have to be forced.
Thank you very much for your time, Hippy Mom. If you would like to tell the people what you've been doing here, what brought you here, what you're all about.
Well, saw some stuff about the truckers coming and didn't really know what anything was about. And my midwife posted about it, so I started looking into it. And then I realized, there's something big going on. And I just decided that I wanted to be part of it somehow. So I started researching and trying to find information, and that led me to Telegram groups, Facebook. Lord, I think I signed up for a bunch of things.
Same.
Yeah. And then wanted to know how I could help, what was going to be beneficial, and how to even start. So
yeah, and just so anybody that doesn't know who this wonderful woman is, when she says she wanted to help, she's one of those people that actually takes action with her words, right? Because she has been helping, trust me. I don't know if she wants the praise right now or not, but I'll tell you what, this woman right here has been putting in work. Yeah. So thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And without people like you, this stuff wouldn't operate as smoothly as it has. Trust me, I've seen your hummingbird wings flittering or flapping all over the place, fluttering.
It's apparently a nickname I've gathered since I've been here.
Is the hummingbird?
Yeah.
Well, it's very accurate because you have been just gracefully all over this place.
Yeah.
And I do have a couple questions for you.
Sure.
One is, do you know how many women truck drivers we have here?
That's a great question. I do not know how many women truck drivers we have. I don't think I've ever thought about it, but I do know that every time I drive down a highway and I see a woman truck driver, I think it's impressive.
Yes,
and,
yes. I've met a few.
Yeah.
I know there's at least like 4 or 5.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and I was just curious if there was a number on that.
No, but we could certainly try to find out. That would be cool to know.
Yeah. And something that I've been working on very hard is getting the SOS for people at home to contact their representatives, in particular their Democratic ones. And as you know, one of the things I was initially contacting you about was maybe a contact point for these individuals.
Yes, you did ask me that.
I know that's kind of been a little bit hectic, but what do you recommend to anybody who might need advice from the Convoy?
Need advice from the Convoy?
Anybody that might be rallying and organizing in their states that might need advice or looking for guidance or any support?
Well, they could certainly attempt to reach out to me. It's not that I would ignore them. I might not be able to get to them right away. Or maybe I could put them in contact with somebody that might be within their area already that's working in something similar.
Okay.
It depends what the state is, which state it is, and what they're trying to go for. But
Yeah.
we definitely need that.
Definitely.
For sure. Yeah.
For sure. Mike and I were talking about on my last podcast of doing working on the bipartisan appeal, and then also doing a deprivation of rights lawsuit, stripping these public servants of their titles and government funding for lawyers and suing them individually. I think that would help put pressure on Democratic leaders that have been abusing our rights and overreaching with their authorities. I think that might help us get the bipartisan appeal. What's your thoughts on that?
That's one of those things that I would say coming into this I didn't necessarily pay much attention to.
Okay.
And I almost hate to admit that because that sounds so, I don't know, just not right. But in reality, I didn't realize the value of researching and voting and actually caring about what's going through, right? What people are voting on, what people want to pass, what people want written. And this has taught me so much more and how valuable it is. People think that your vote or your voice doesn't matter, and that's not true. Because it does. And if you don't say anything, then you'll never be heard.
Exactly. And I've made the reference before that they're spending just millions of dollars on trying to control conspiracy theories online with MDM, which is like mal-dis misinformation. Like on the domestic terrorism bulletin that they put out on February 7th, they literally stated in 2 of the bulletins it equaled out to about $87 million that they were spending on these domestic terrorist issues. So it's scary, you know, without unity. I mean, we're fighting large entities with lots of lobbyist money, and without unity, it's going to be a rough road. So what's your day like here? I mean, I know what it's like. Yeah. I know what it's like. I've seen you out here. Yeah. But I would like anybody at home to. I mean, she is. What would be your title? Like an administrator or core organizer? What would you label?
I mean, I would almost say co-organizer, but I steer away from that because I wasn't an original, right? I didn't exactly start in Adelanto, California with them, but did I start laying groundwork for social media, specifically Telegram? Yes. But I kind of call myself like a liaison, so it's like the ground to the bus, right? To the people that are the ones that try to make these decisions and help lead us to where we need to go.
Through action, you make change, not just theories or debating with your friends. Like, now is the time to stand up and do something.
Absolutely. Wholeheartedly, yeah. Yep, you have to. Because if we don't, then that future is etched forever. And to undo all of that would just... Now is the time. Now is the time. Yeah. Seriously, and like if we can't gain our medical freedoms back right now, imagine what it would be like in 20, 30, 40 years. I can't even. No. It's sickening. Yep. What's your most passionate problem with what's going on here? Like what irritates you the most? What change would you like to see most out of all of this? Within our setup here, or the movement in general. As far as, you know, getting our freedoms back, or just anything regarding what we're doing here. For me, it's all about choice, right? I want choice for myself, for my body, my mind, and my children. I don't want to have to be forced to do what somebody else wants me to do. And when I've done the education, I feel like it's not the best thing for me. And I'm not to say that somebody that feels it's better for them, then who am I to say that they can't? So for me, that's probably the biggest thing. And then not feeling like we're a disease or we're pitted against each other. Yeah, it's horrible, right? Yeah, right. I mean, I've heard conversations walking through Walmart or any grocery store. What did you hear this? And they're going to start doing this, and what about that? I'm like, how awful. Like, why are we even doing this? We're people, human beings, good human beings that don't deserve to be treated like that. No. So, yeah, that's very important to me. And the stories that I hear when I'm in that tent, when people come to me and talk about why they do what they do, and they thank us for what we're doing, heartbreaking. You know? Really is. Yeah. And I've got my own sad stories. I'm not going to get into that. Right? Yeah. But, you know, it's great to get out here and get around people that you can vent to, and it's not going to really stir up an argument. It's a great release. And that's the thing. I don't see that. There's no argument. It's all love here. Absolutely. It's like, there's no, like, you have to defend yourself about your views. Even if your views aren't exactly the same as mine, or maybe you don't want choice. Maybe you think it should be taken off the market altogether, right? Speaking of the vaccine. It's dangerous, it's this, it's that. But the reality is, even when somebody voices their opinion, you're not shunned. You're not made to feel ashamed of yourself for saying that. Right. And something that I've kind of seen is like, maybe somebody outside the movement that hasn't been here, that is curious of what's going on. Maybe somebody on the left. I've seen people flipping people off on the overpasses and stuff, like just other people driving by. And I think maybe what it is they might see like a F Biden flag or a Trump flag, and then they're triggered. Yeah. And they don't even realize what we're doing. Right. And so for us, or for at least myself, and correct me if I'm wrong, we are here for medical choice. Yeah, definitely. We believe that we should have that choice, and me personally, I feel like our freedoms in good faith have been given to the government unlawfully, because they haven't adhered to giving us our freedom. This country was
founded on freedom, and color of law, executive orders, all that stuff is not. It's not foundational like human rights laws, and in my opinion, and a lot of people's. Do you know anything about color of law?
Not specifically, no.
Okay.
I haven't heard that reference.
Okay. So it's basically like anything that's not like in the Constitution.
Okay.
Right. Mm-hmm. So yeah, you know, a lot of these people they're creating these mass mandates and stuff like that under color of law. What would be your message to anybody that wants to get involved or wants to come here or wants to help while they're here? What can people do?
Well, I mean, one, you can start at home, right? You can go to your capital. You can write your delegates, your people in your town, your city, your state. Make phone calls. That would be one. And then, you know, going as far as maybe organizing a group that would be like-minded, right? And then it would help either get people here to where we are right now, in an organized manner where we can help support. Numbers are good. You know, the more people, the louder our voice, and the stronger we stand, you know.
You know, and something, I agree 100%. And something that I've been doing is trying to clean up my own language. You're kind of like an organizer-ish, right? What do you think about maybe like incorporating in a meeting where, you know, like we say something like, hey, you know, we understand we're Americans here, we have freedom, but, you know, maybe consider taking down your fuck Biden flags and your Trump flags, right? And stick to the message. Because like we said earlier, like people see that, those flags, and they get triggered, and they kind of like, they don't really know why we're actually out here rolling around the Beltway. Right. So maybe cleaning up the message a little bit. There's kids, there's Christians that might not like seeing fuck Biden flags, right? And it kind of takes away from the message. Now, if people want to keep them up, that's fine. Like personally, like I'm on board with the FJB, you know, but you know, that's a rated R flag, right? Right. And so I feel like cleaning up the message might be something that we could look at and honing in on why we're exactly here, right? Medical freedom, freedom of speech, right? Stopping government overreach, things of that nature. And I think maybe pushing those more pure, clean messages would help get our message heard.
Yeah. And you know, that's something that I hear throughout the day. And I think that's one thing that we strived in our Telegram group specifically is politics are touchy, right, for most people. Even within family, it causes divide. And some people feel ashamed for voting for somebody that they felt was better for them or thought would be better for our country. But the one thing I do know is that people get what's the word? Scared, right, of politics. Oh, it's scary. How do I dissect that? How do I even know what side? And so then that in itself, I think, almost can push people away. So if you leave it to what it is about.
Some people just need guidance.
Right. Then everything, I think, there will fall in place. I mean, it's no different than people that talk about all these other things that we want to achieve, right? Sex trafficking, for example. That's a big thing that comes up around here. It's not that we don't care about our children, right? I have children, and I know how vital it is. But right now, this is our focal point. If we spread ourselves too thin, then
we have to
do one thing.
Funnel our attention to one topic.
Definitely.
And yes, you're right. The human trafficking, the open borders with giving away crack pipes, and then guarding.
Oh yeah.
And then on the but the northern border though is extremely secure. We have to have digital ID for our truckers. I mean, that's part of the reason why we're protesting.
That's because,
right. So it's a double standard. We see the hypocrisy. We see the propaganda that's being pushed. And I can tell that you're intelligent enough to make your own decisions and, you know, and have your freedom of choice.
Yeah, definitely.
Right. Because it's people like us that are doing due diligence and researching our topics and coming to our own conclusions. You know, I don't agree with everyone's opinions and everything here, because I mean there is conversations and other things other than freedom, right? But you know, I refuse to let any type of tribalization happen to me. I like to do my own due diligence on each individual topic and come to my own conclusions, which I would recommend to anybody.
Yeah.
So I just, I wanted to bring you in here and talk to you because I appreciate I see you working so hard. And not only did I want you to get a break from all of that,
and it is much appreciated.
But I think your voice should be heard.
Yeah, well,
because
I really appreciate that.
And I don't have a huge audience, but I would love to get the message out, and that's what I've been doing. So
yeah, that's what we have to do. That's what helps bring tomorrow, and hopefully better choices and better things that will lead us down a better path. And for our children, for our grandchildren, what did somebody say tonight? What would it be like in 20 or 30 years if we don't?
Yes, that was me.
It was you.
I just
see, there you go. So yeah. I just think it's.
Like I said earlier, we can't in good faith look the other way and just not have conversations about these things.
Yeah.
What do you think about Fauci and his emails trying to suppress the lab leak theories?
Yeah, I don't know.
Should we talk about that? Do you think we'll get censored?
Yeah, you never know, right? Yeah.
Maybe we should save that one. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
But
yeah.
Tell us anything that's on your mind, anything you'd like to vent about.
I think for me the biggest thing is that people need to realize that most people have good intentions, right? Even if they feel like they're saying or doing the wrong thing. You have to think about that person as a whole if you know them and think, okay, did they mean to say it? Did they mean to do that? Right now, we're at this critical time in this on-site campus, whatever you want to call it, right, where we are.
I call it the urban Amish.
Yeah, right? I mean, it definitely. And it's so easily twisted. And in one little thing, somebody says to another person,
they're fizzling out.
Oh, they're
feverish on the highway.
Yeah. I think I read one headline on Google. I went to go look for something and it said, the Convoy fails again to shut down the Beltway. Well, that's kind of good because that's not what we were going for. So
I'm pretty sure we're just as strong as when we started. And there is a convoy coming in tomorrow to replenish ranks.
Yeah, right.
Some people, they had to get back to work.
That's
but they're
the
coming
thing,
back.
is we're not asking you to stay from day one to day whatever it takes.
Just help how you can.
Exactly. If it's one day, if it's 3 hours, if it's a week, don't feel guilty for stepping away and taking care of business or going to see family, or you'll know where your heart, where it sits. And that's all I can tell. I had a 70-year-old woman come up to me Saturday a week ago, and she asked me what I would do if I were her. She said, well, I'm broke, I have ailments, and I looked at her and I said, and I think she's been from California, and I said, you can only do what you can do. I can't speak to you, but I can tell you what, for me, it's do or die, right? And that's how strongly I feel about this. It means that much. Every time I hear a story of damage and somebody being harmed or making choices like they feel like there's a gun against their head. We shouldn't live in an environment like that. We're in the United States, for Pete's sakes. One of the women in my group, she told me her and her husband had been married a number of years, and he went and got vaccinated behind her back, and it almost killed their relationship to some extent, but he did that because it would have been financial suicide not to. And that is why I do what I do, right? That and my children, and having the knowledge and choice, and not feeling like we have to be cornered and tagged and marked. It's awful. It's awful.
Yes, and the United States didn't even have the Comirnaty FDA-approved vaccine in our country when all these companies were forcing their employees to get vaccinated or get fired. Right. So they're forcing you to participate in an experimental vaccine or lose your job.
Right.
To me, that is very immoral. I lost 2 opportunities with the same company. Because of these issues. And I'm not the type of person to back down. I'm not the type of person to apologize.
Yeah.
Right? I'm going to stand my ground. I'm going to stand up for what I believe in. I'm going to adhere to my morals. And I can tell you're doing the same because you're here and you're working so gosh darn hard. So thank you.
You're welcome.
And you're like an unsung hero with how hard you're working and helping organize and keeping everything afloat. And please, if there's any stress, take a break, have somebody rub your freaking neck, okay? And just like breathe, like take a break, like, because you are so busy, and I don't want you to get overwhelmed and frustrated, and just stop to enjoy the smell of the coffee sometimes.
Definitely. I missed that a little bit, but
I know, but now is the time.
When,
I mean, I've been putting in 10, 12-hour days myself, just doing what I'm doing, trying to help out. So I understand now is the time to act, and like, but Yeah, just don't get overwhelmed, because you are a busy girl, and I think we need more help. If anybody would like to come help her out,
we need all the help.
Help her out. Come help her out. Get out here.
Yeah. Well, I really appreciate it. Thank you.
You're welcome.